The Det remembered the communication array at Earth's Central Command, lit up with an incoming transmission at 0347 hours. Captain Marcus Chun was reviewing supply manifests when the priority alert flashed across his screen. He set down his coffee and straightened in his chair. Priority 1 signals from outside the solar system were rare. Priority 1 signals marked with Valerian encryption codes were unprecedented. Chun activated the holographic display. The image flickered before resolving into the face of Ambassador Thyra, the Valerian diplomat who had served on Earth for the past decade. Her normally calm silver features were tight with fear. Her crystalline eyes, which usually sparkled with warmth, were dim with exhaustion. Captain Chun, Thyra said, her voice breaking slightly. I apologize for bypassing diplomatic channels. We have no time for formalities. The Valerian Empire is facing extinction. We need help. We need Earth. Chun leaned forward. Ambassador, what happened? Your empire controls 70 star systems. Your fleet is one of the most advanced in known space. Was, Captain? Was one of the most advanced. Thera transmitted a data packet. These are the Krexith. They appeared in our outer territories 3 months ago. We thought they were just another hostile species seeking resources. We were wrong. They are not invaders. They are Devourers. The holographic display shifted to show footage from a Valerian border world. Chun watched in horror as massive organic ships descended from the sky. They were not built. They were grown. Living vessels that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. They landed on cities and simply began consuming everything. Buildings, vehicles, technology, even the atmosphere itself. Within hours, a thriving world became a barren rock. How many worlds have you lost? Chun asked quietly. 17, Thyra replied. And they are accelerating. Our weapons barely slow them down. Energy weapons feed them. Kinetic weapons they simply absorb and repurpose. Our best scientists estimate we have 6 weeks before they reach our core worlds. 8 weeks before our empire ceases to exist. Chun studied the data carefully. The Krexith swarm operated like a biological machine. Each ship was actually a colony organism. Millions of individual creatures working together with perfect coordination. They adapted to every attack. They learned from every encounter. They were evolution weaponized and pointed at civilization. Ambassador, Chun said slowly, Earth has been part of the galactic community for only 20 years. Our military is small. Our technology is generations behind yours. What could we possibly offer that your empire cannot provide? Thyra met his eyes through the hologram. 15 years ago, when the Dravik comet shattered and threatened to bombard Earth, my people came. We diverted those fragments. We saved 2 billion human lives. Your government asked why we would help a species we barely knew. I told them that civilized beings help each other. That is what separates us from the darkness between stars. She paused, composing herself. Now I am asking if Earth remembers. If humans believe what I said. If you will help us even though logic says you cannot win. Chun looked at the data again. The Krexith swarm numbered in the thousands of ships. Earth could muster maybe 200 vessels. The human fleet had never fought a major engagement. They were explorers and peacekeepers, not warriors. Every tactical analysis would say this was suicide. But Marcus Chun remembered the Dravik comet. He had been a young lieutenant then, watching helplessly as fragments the size of mountains fell toward Earth. He remembered watching Valerian ships position themselves in harm's way, using their shields to vaporize comet fragments that would have destroyed continents. 3 Valerian vessels were lost saving human cities. Their crews died so humans could live. Ambassador Chun said, his voice firm. Earth remembers. We pay our debts. Give me 8 hours to speak with our leadership. I believe I can give you an answer. The emergency session of Earth's Security Council convened within 2 hours. Representatives from every major nation gathered in Geneva. Captain Chun presented the situation clearly and honestly. The odds were terrible. The enemy was overwhelming. Logic said they should refuse. Director Sarah Okonghuo of the African Union spoke first. 15 years ago, the Valerians lost 3 ships and 400 crew members saving Earth. They asked for nothing in return. They simply said that helping was the right thing to do. Now they need help. What kind of species would we be if we turned away? Premier Liu of the Asian Collective nodded. Agreed, but we must be honest about our capabilities. Our fleet is untested in combat. We have no experience fighting biological ships. We will likely fail. Then we fail trying, President Morrison of the American Federation said. But we go. We show the galaxy that humanity keeps its promises. That Earth does not forget its friends. The vote was unanimous. Earth would deploy its fleet to Valerian space. Captain Chun was given operational command. He had 12 hours to assemble his forces and develop a strategy for fighting an enemy that conventional tactics could not stop. Chun gathered his command staff in the war room. His senior officers included Commander Rachel Torres, a former disaster response specialist, Lieutenant Commander James Park, who had spent 10 years studying hostile ENVI, RONM * survival, and Dr. Amira Hassan, a xenobiologist who specialized in swarm behaviors. Let us be clear about our situation, Chun began. We are outgunned. We are outnumbered. We are facing an enemy that adapts to conventional warfare. So we will not use conventional warfare. He pulled up a 3-dimensional map of Valerian space. The Krexith advance shows a pattern. They target resource-rich worlds. They consume and move on. They are efficient. Like any biological organism, they seek maximum gain for minimum effort. So we make them inefficient, Torres said, understanding dawning. We make them work for every meter of space. We make them waste resources. We turn their strengths into weaknesses. Exactly, Chun confirmed. Earth's fleet is built for exploration and emergency response. Our ships have environmental control systems designed to operate in extreme conditions. Our crews train for worst-case scenarios because Earth is a worst-case scenario. Dr. Hassan stepped forward. The Krexith are a colony organism. That means they need coordination, communication between individual units. If we can disrupt that communication, even temporarily, we can create chaos in their formations. Park nodded. And chaos is something humans understand very well. We evolved on a planet where chaos is normal. Earthquakes, storms, volcanic eruptions. We learn to function when everything is falling apart. Chun looked at his team. We have advantages the Valerians do not. We come from a high-gravity world. We are stronger and more resilient than most species. We evolved as persistence hunters. We do not give up. We do not stop. We chase our prey until it collapses from exhaustion. He activated a simulation. Here is my proposal. We do not fight the Krexith head-on. We harass them. We hit and run. We deny them resources. We make them chase us into environments that favor us. We make them adapt so many times that their adaptation systems overload. It is brutal, Torres said quietly. We will take heavy casualties. Yes, Chun agreed. But we will buy time. Time for the Valerians to evacuate civilians. Time for galactic science teams to find a permanent solution. Time for hope to survive. The fleet assembled at Earth's orbital shipyards. 215 ships. Destroyers, frigates, and support vessels. Not a single capital ship among them. The crews were volunteers. Everyone. They knew the odds. They came anyway, Captain Chun stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Determination. Around him, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. No bravado, no false courage. Just people preparing to do an impossible job because someone had to. Ambassador Thera appeared on the main screen. Captain, the Valerian fleet will support your operations. We are transmitting all tactical data we have gathered. I must tell you that our War Council believes this mission is suicide. They think I was wrong to ask for your help. Chun smiled slightly. Ambassador, humanity specializes in proving War Councils wrong. We have been doing it for thousands of years. Besides, you saved us when logic said you should not. Now we return the favor. That is what friends do. The fleet entered faster-than-light transit. Destination, the Valerian, border world of Nexus Prime. The Krexith swarm was expected to arrive there in 72 hours. Earth's fleet would be waiting. As the ship streaked through hyperspace, Chun walked among his crew. He found young Lieutenant Sarah Kim reviewing engineering protocols. She looked up as he approached. Captain, are we really going to pull this off? Chun considered the question honestly. I do not know, Lieutenant. The odds say we should not. But humans have a long history of ignoring odds. We survive because we adapt. We endure because we refuse to quit. The Krexith think they are the ultimate adaptation. They are about to learn what adaptation looks like when it evolves on a death world. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace, near Nexus Prime, exactly on schedule. The planet below was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, cities that sparkled in the sunlight. Millions of Valerians called it home. In 3 days, the Krexith would try to consume it all. Chun opened a channel to all ships. All crews, this is Captain Chun. We are here because 15 years ago, the Valerians saved Earth. They lost ships and people doing it. They asked for nothing. They simply helped because it was right. Now we have a chance to return that kindness. To show the galaxy what humanity means when we say we remember our friends. He paused, looking at the planet below. We come from Earth, a world that tried to kill us every single day of our evolution. We learned to survive ice ages and droughts. We learned to fight predators and diseases. We learned that when everything is against you, you keep moving forward anyway. That is what makes us human. The Krexith swarm thinks they are unstoppable. They have never met a species from a death world. They have never faced beings who learned that survival means refusing to accept defeat. They are about to get an education. Across the fleet, crews acknowledged the message. They prepared weapons and systems. They reviewed contingency plans and emergency procedures. They got ready to show the galaxy what humans did when their friends needed help. In 72 hours, the Krexith would arrive. The battle for Nexus Prime would begin. And the galaxy would learn that when you helped Earth, Earth never forgot. When you saved humanity, humanity would walk through fire to return the favor. Captain Marcus Chun looked at the stars and thought about debt and honor and friendship. Then he got back to work. There was a battle to win and a promise to keep. That was enough. When Deathworlders keep their promises, the Krexith swarm arrived exactly when predicted. Long-range sensors detected them first, a massive shadow moving through deep space. Then visual confirmation came through, and even hardened officers on the bridge of the Determination fell silent. The swarm consisted of thousands of organic ships, each one pulsing with sickly green bioluminescence. They moved in perfect coordination, like a school of predatory fish hunting through an ocean of stars. Captain Chun watched the tactical display as the enemy fleet approached Nexus Prime. The Valerian defense fleet had positioned itself in high orbit, ready to make their stand. 300 ships, some of the finest vessels in their empire, prepared to face an enemy that had already destroyed 17 worlds. Their formation was textbook perfect, their weapons charged and ready. They were about to die following doctrine, and everyone knew it. Commander Torres stood beside Chun, studying the enemy formations. They are not even trying to be subtle. They know they are stronger. They are just going to roll right over the defenders. Chun nodded slowly. They have never had a reason to be cautious. Every species they have encountered fights the same way. Organized fleet formations. Concentrated firepower. Logical tactics. He smiled without humor. They are about to learn that Earth did not get the manual on logical tactics. He opened a secure channel to the Valerian command ship. Admiral Krell, this is Captain Chun. We are ready to begin operations. Please withdraw your fleet to secondary positions as we discuss. The Valerian admiral appeared on screen. His reptilian features showed clear skepticism. Captain, with respect, your fleet is too small. Your ships are too lightly armed. If we withdraw, you will be alone against the entire swarm. That is suicide. Admiral, Chun said patiently, suicide is staying in formation where they expect you. Trust us. We know how to fight when we are outmatched. We have been doing it for our entire history. Krell hesitated, then nodded. Very well, we will withdraw. But we will not abandon you completely. At the first sign of complete failure, my fleet will return to extract as many of your ships as possible. Appreciated, Admiral. Chun said, now please move your fleet. We need the space to work. The Valerian fleet broke formation and began a controlled withdrawal toward the inner system. The Krexith swarm detected this movement immediately. Their advance accelerated. They sensed victory. They sensed food. They moved forward with the confidence of predators that had never met an equal. Earth's fleet did not form a defensive line. Instead, the 215 human ships scattered like leaves in a storm. They broke into small groups, moving in seemingly random directions. Some dove toward the planet. Others accelerated toward the outer system. A few simply held position, hanging alone in the void like bait. What are they doing? One of Krell's officers asked, watching the human fleet disperse. They have abandoned all formation. They have no defensive coherence. This is chaos. Krell watched more carefully. He had studied human military history during their 20 years in galactic society. He had read about Earth's wars, their battles, their strategies. One thing stood out in every account. Humans did not fight like other species. They fought dirty. They improvised. They turned disadvantages into weapons. Wait, he said quietly. Just watch. The Krexith swarm reached the scattered human ships. Their organic vessels split smoothly into hunting groups, each one targeting isolated human destroyers. It should have been a massacre. The Krexith ships outnumbered the humans 6-1. Their biological weapons could dissolve metal and burn through shields. They closed in for easy kills. Lieutenant Kim's destroyer, the Resilient, was one of the bait ships. She watched her sensors as 3 Krexith vessels approached. They were massive compared to her ship, each one easily twice her mass. Their hulls rippled with bioelectric discharge. They were preparing to fire their dissolution weapons. All crew, Kim announced calmly. Prepare for impact. Remember your training. Stay sharp. The Krexith fired. Green energy lanced across the void, striking the Resilient's shields. The ship shuddered. Alarms blared. Systems flickered. But the shields held. Barely. Damage report. Kim snapped. Shields at 40%. Her tactical officer called out. Hull integrity holding. Backup power systems online. Good, Kim said. Now show them what we brought to the party. Deploy the surprise. The Resilient's cargo bay doors opened. Instead of weapons fire, the ship released thousands of small objects. They looked like debris or wreckage. The Krexith sensors detected no threat. Their ships moved forward, ignoring the floating objects. The objects were modified mining charges. Simple chemical explosives wrapped in metal casings. Technology so primitive that the Krexith biological sensors dismissed them as harmless. That was a mistake. Kim waited until the Krexith ships were fully surrounded by the floating charges. Now, she said quietly, the charges detonated simultaneously. Not with energy weapons that the Krexith could absorb. Not with plasma that they could adapt to. Simple kinetic explosions that sent metal fragments flying at incredible speeds. Thousands of pieces of shrapnel tore through organic hulls that were designed to resist energy weapons, but not physical trauma. Two of the 3 Krexith ships reeled from the damage. Their bioluminescence flickered erratically. They tried to adapt, growing thicker armor plating, but they needed time. Kim did not give them time. All weapons, fire at will, she ordered. The Resilient opened up with conventional kinetic cannons. Solid metal slugs accelerated to a fraction of light speed. The damaged Krexith ships tried to evade, but their injuries slowed them. The kinetic rounds punched through weakened hulls. Organic tissue exploded into the void. One Krexith ship died immediately. The second managed to limp away, trailing biological fluids that froze instantly in the vacuum. The third, undamaged ship reassessed the situation. These small human vessels were more dangerous than anticipated. It sent out a chemical signal to the rest of the swarm. Caution advised. Prey is armed. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships used every dirty trick they had learned from millennia of warfare on a hostile planet. They released debris clouds that fouled Krexith sensors. They fired chaff that confused biological targeting systems. They used the planet's magnetic field to mask their movements. They fought like guerrillas, not soldiers. Dr. Hassan monitored the Krexith communication patterns from her position on the Determination. She had spent months studying swarm behavior, and now she was seeing her theories confirmed. The Krexith coordinated through chemical and bioelectric signals. They were efficient but predictable, and anything predictable could be exploited. Captain, Hassan called out. I have identified their coordination frequency. If we can generate enough interference on that spectrum, we can disrupt their swarm cohesion. Can we generate that interference? Chan asked. Hassan smiled. Earth sits in a solar system with massive magnetic storms. Our ships were built to communicate through solar radiation. We have the strongest signal amplifiers in known space. Yes, sir? We can generate that interference. Do it, Sean ordered. All ships, prepare for communication disruption protocol. Switch to laser-linked networks. Go loud on all bioelectric frequencies. Earth's fleet activated every transmitter and sensor they had. Normally, this would be suicide. It would reveal their positions to every enemy in range. But the humans were not trying to hide. They were trying to create chaos. The Krexith swarm suddenly found their coordination breaking down. Chemical signals were overwhelmed by human transmissions. Bioelectric communications were jammed by massive electromagnetic interference. Individual ships lost contact with the greater swarm intelligence. They began operating independently, falling back on basic instincts rather than coordinated strategy. Asterisk. Now, Chun said, all ships, assault formation. Hit them while they are confused. The scattered human fleet suddenly converged. 215 ships came together in small wolf packs, each one targeting isolated Krexith vessels. They moved with brutal efficiency, focusing fire on single targets until they died, and moving to the next. They fought like the persistence hunters their ancestors had been, running down prey that was stronger, but less coordinated. Commander Park's frigate, the Relentless, led a group of 6 human ships against a cluster of 20 Krexith vessels. The odds were terrible, but Park had fought in hostile environments his entire career. He knew that survival was not about having better weapons. It was about having better. Well, target their propulsion systems first, Park ordered. Make them slow. Make them vulnerable. Then kill them. The human ships darted between the confused Krexith vessels, firing at organic engines and propulsion membranes. The Krexith tried to coordinate a defense, but without swarm intelligence, they were just individual creatures. Dangerous, but not invincible. One by one, the Krexith ships fell. The Relentless took heavy damage. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Fires in the engineering section. But the crew kept fighting. They sealed breaches manually when automated systems failed. They fought fires with handheld extinguishers when the suppression system went down. They kept their ship alive through sheer stubborn determination. This is what we do. Park shouted over the sounds of alarms and explosions. This is how Earth survives. We keep going when everyone else quits. We fight when everyone else surrenders. Show them what Deathworld evolution creates. The human fleet pushed forward relentlessly. They took casualties. 7 ships were destroyed. 15 more were heavily damaged. But they kept attacking. They kept disrupting. They kept making the Krexith pay for every meter of space. Admiral Krell watched from his command ship in disbelief. The humans are winning. How are they winning? Because they do not fight like civilized species, one of his officers said quietly. They fight like predators. Like survivors. They are making the Krexith afraid. It was true. For the first time in their existence, the Krexith swarm was experiencing something new. Doubt. These small ships from the death world were not behaving like prey. They were behaving like a threat. They were making the swarm lose more resources than they gained. The fundamental calculus of the Krexith existence was being challenged. The swarm made a decision. This world was not worth the cost. There would be easier prey elsewhere. The surviving Krexith vessels began to withdraw, pulling back from Nexus Prime. They had never retreated before, but they had never faced an enemy that made victory more expensive than defeat. Captain Chun watched the enemy fleet pull back. He wanted to pursue, to press the attack, but his fleet was battered. They had won this battle, but barely. Do not chase them, he ordered. Let them go. We saved the planet. That was the mission. The human fleet regrouped slowly. Damaged ships limped together. Crews worked on emergency repairs. They had lost 7 ships and over 400 people. But they had stopped an enemy that had destroyed 17 worlds. They had proven that the Krexith could be beaten. Ambassador Thyra's voice came through on all channels. Captain Chun, on behalf of the Valerian Empire, I offer our deepest gratitude. You faced impossible odds for us. You kept your promise. We will never forget this debt. Sean looked at his battered bridge, at his exhausted crew, at the damage reports scrolling across his screens. Ambassador, humanity does not keep score of debts between friends. 15 years ago, your people saved Earth. Today, we helped save Nexus Prime. Tomorrow, perhaps we will stand together against the next threat. That is what friends do. Over the next weeks, something unprecedented happened in galactic politics. Species that had witnessed Earth's stand began reaching out. The Krexith threat still existed, but now there was hope. If humans could stop them once, perhaps a united galaxy could stop them permanently. Scientists from a dozen species studied the human tactics. They learned about asymmetric warfare, about turning disadvantages into weapons, about refusing to accept defeat, even when logic said victory was impossible. They learned that sometimes the most advanced strategy was the willingness to endure what others would not. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Earth was invited not as observers, but as full members. Captain Shun stood before the assembled species and shared everything humanity had learned about fighting the Krexith. He held nothing back. The knowledge was given freely, just as the Valerians had freely given their help 15 years ago. A new alliance formed. The Defensive Coalition, they called it. Dozens of species contributing ships, resources, and knowledge. United not by conquest or profit, but by mutual protection. Earth provided tactical training. The Valerians provided advanced technology. Other species contributed their own unique strengths. Within 6 months, the Krexith swarm was contained. They still existed in the outer darkness, but they no longer expanded. They had learned that the galaxy could fight back, that some prey had teeth and claws and the will to use them. Captain Shun returned to Earth a hero. Parades were held. Medals were awarded. But he remained humble. When reporters asked him how humanity had achieved the impossible, he simply said, "We remembered our friends. We kept our promises." That is not impossible. That is just being human. On Nexus Prime, a monument was erected. It showed 2 figures standing together. One Valerian, one human. The inscription read, "Here stands proof that kindness creates bonds stronger than any weapon. 15 years ago, they saved us. Today, we return the favor. May all species remember that the strong protect the weak, and friends stand together against the darkness." Lieutenant Kim stood before that monument on the anniversary of the battle. She thought about the 7 ships that did not come home, about the 400 people who died, keeping a promise made by people they had never met. She thought it was worth it. In the deep space beyond the galactic rim, the Krexith swarm processed new data. They had encountered a variable they had never experienced before. Beings who fought not for resources or territory, but for intangible concepts like honor and friendship. Beings who became stronger when protecting others. Beings from a world so harsh that it had forged them into something the swarm could not easily consume. The Krexith made a note in their collective intelligence. Deathworld species. High cost. Avoid when possible. Proceed with extreme caution if engagement necessary. And in the halls of the Galactic Council. When species debated and disagreed, when old rivalries threatened new alliances, someone would always bring up the day Earth's fleet stood alone against impossible odds. They would remember that humanity had traveled across the stars, not for conquest or profit, but to repay a kindness shown 15 years prior. They remembered that when you helped a Deathworld species, they never forgot. And if you ever needed help in return, they would come. They would fight. They would bleed. They would keep their promises no matter the cost, because that was what humans did. They survived. They endured. They protected their friends. And the galaxy was better for it. Captain Marcus Chon looked at the stars from Earth's surface and smiled. Somewhere out there, the Valerians were rebuilding. The coalition was growing stronger. The darkness between stars was a little less dark because different species had chosen to stand together. Humanity had joined the galactic community as the newcomers. The primitives, the Deathworlders, who barely understood advanced civilization. Now they were the ones other species called when the impossible needed to be done. When someone needed to be reminded that hope was stronger than logic and friendship was more powerful than fear. Earth had returned the favor. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever. Not through conquest or domination, but through the simple act of keeping a promise, of remembering kindness, of being the kind of species that others wanted to stand beside when the darkness came. That was humanity's gift to the stars. Not superior technology or overwhelming force, but the stubborn, relentless, absolutely unbreakable determination to protect those they called friends. The galaxy had learned what Earth meant when they said they remembered, and the galaxy was grateful for Deathworlders who kept their word. Asterisk.